Longtime viewers of this channel have probably noted that I often make reference to the fact that when using a handheld HT GMRS walkie-talkie radio or handheld hams radios that transmit in the 70 cm band, the power output of the radio, whether it's 3 watts or 8 watts or 9 watts, makes virtually no difference. And it's the antenna and what is between you and the other radio that are the most important factors in how many FARs the radio can give. In other words, when shopping for a handheld HT walkie-talkie radio, the power output should be the least influential factor in your purchasing decision. And every time I reveal this truth, all of the couch-educated experts, keyboard PhDs, and of course the licensed experts come crawling up from their basements to leave comments proclaiming that I am wrong. And if we are to believe these experts, a 5-watt radio will transmit at least twice as far and be far more clear-sounding as a 2 or 3-watt radio, and a radio outputting 8 watts will give many more FARs and the signal will sound better than a 5-watt radio. However, it is my contention that on a GMRS or 70 cm radio, there is virtually no difference in most real-world situations. And this is because when using a GMRS or 70 cm hams radios, what will limit your FARs the most is the surrounding geography and conditions. This means that on average, usually, generally speaking, most often, and for most people in most places, your FARs will be limited not by the power output of the radio, but by nearby hills, mountains, trees, or even houses full of fat people, long before the FARs are limited by the power output of the radio. So to debunk this myth that power is the most important factor when transmitting on a handheld GMRS or 70 semen-eater hams radios, I fired up my favorite AI to see what it has to say on this very controversial subject. But it turns out that AI is just a hoax and the bubble is about to burst. So I decided to do a simple scientific test instead. I will use this little $30 Baofeng UV-5R Plus radio that I had laying around, and we will see how it sounds from very far away when transmitting at different power levels. This radio outputs 3 different power levels: high, which outputs, we're going to say 6 watts, medium, which outputs right at 4.5 watts, and low, which outputs about 2 watts. And I will use this radio and this antenna to transmit from right here in my studio to my friend Conrad, the chef's house at 13 miles away. Conrad, the chef, will be listening on his Kenwood radio that is connected to a large antenna on the roof, and I should also point out that because my house is located on a golden hilltop overlooking the slums below, I am at about 600 feet higher in elevation than Conrad, and we have good, but far from perfect, line of sight between us. Many viewers will recognize this as the standard test that I do when reviewing radios, but this time it will be different. Because this time I will transmit at 3 different power levels to see exactly how much of a difference the power output makes in the clarity of the signal from 13 miles away. So if the experts are correct, at high power, the radio should sound a lot more clear than at medium power, and medium should be a lot more strong and powerful sounding than low power. And it is at this point that some people will leave comments proclaiming that to measure the signal strength accurately, we must use scientific instruments and highly accurate measuring devices because the human ear is not accurate enough to distinguish these differences in signal quality and signal level. And it is precisely that claim that proves that all of the online experts are completely disconnected from reality, because when you listen to your radio, or the person you are talking to is listening to you on their radio, What are you using to listen with? Are you using scientific instruments or your ears? What I am saying to you right now is that in the real world, if your ears can't hear the difference, then there is no difference. So let's begin the test. But before we begin, pause the video and leave a comment with your prediction of how much of a difference in signal quality there will be between the different power levels. No cheating. This is how the radio sounded on high power at 6 watts from 13 miles away.
Shepro, do you copy on high power? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
This is how the radio sounded on medium power at about 4.5 watts.
Shepro, do you copy on medium power? How does it sound? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And this is how it sounded on low power, transmitting only 2 watts from 13 miles away.
Shepro, do you copy on low power? How does it sound? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Listen closely. 6 watts.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
4.5 watts.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
2 watts.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So as you just saw with your very own ears using this handheld HT GMRS walkie-talkie from 13 miles away, there was virtually no difference between 6 watts and 2 watts, thoroughly busting the myth that on a handheld HT walkie-talkie radio, power is the most important factor in how many FARs a radio can give or how clear your signal will be from many FARs away. However, to say that power does not matter at all would not be entirely true because from many FARs away, there would be a difference in clarity and FARs between, say, 1 watt and 50 watts, unless there was a mountain or a bunch of houses full of fat people blocking the signal after, say, only 5 or 10 miles, and then, in such a case, there would be no difference at all. The point here is all of the online experts were wrong. Again.